Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including but not limited to swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children. Hello, and welcome to BiblioWrecks, the podcast where we read really bad books and then we come and tell you all about it. I'm Bugs.
And I'm Bam Bam. And we got a little bit of a different one today. It's a little bit of a doozy.
I'm excited, because this sounds like we're doing something a little different.
Mm-hmm. And as you said earlier, I've been talking about doing this one for about a year.
I remember discussing this last summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been wanting to do this one for a while, but it just took me a while to get around to it.
Sometimes these books, it's like you have to think about it, and then you have to put it away in a box in the attic. And then you have to come back to it because it just needed to sit and wait. And then you can come back and actually process it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you just got to percolate on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're doing Crow Killer, the Saga of Liver-Eating Johnson.
Now, you hadn't read me the title yet.
I had not. I did that very specifically.
Okay.
And it is by Raymond W. Thorp and Robert Bunker.
Oh.
In 1958 is when this was originally published.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So he's a cannibal?
Well,
question mark?
We'll get into it. Warnings for this episode: mutilation, cannibalism, and racism. So, the usual fare.
Mm-hmm. And this
when I pick the episode, it seems like.
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, it's either some kind of rape or cannibalism or some kind of horrible thing with me, is what it seems like.
I mean, I've done some doozies too.
Yeah.
And what genre is this?
It is sort of a biography.
And this, okay. And was the 50s when, we were doing the height of cowboy stuff on, television?
This is a big part
John
of that.
Wayne kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is another sort of true story that's fiction, but not in the way that we usually get it. Mm-hmm. This one purports itself to be, quote, from the description on the back of the book, the true story on which the film Jeremiah Johnson was partially based. Do you remember that movie?
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah. You might not have, but it was fairly famous in the 70s. Okay. A pretty well-known picture.
It sounds familiar, but I don't believe I've watched it.
But it was based on John Johnson, who in 1847 found his wife and her unborn child had been killed by Crow braves. Out of this tragedy came one of the most gripping feuds in American history. Johnson vowed vengeance on the entire Crow Nation and tracking its warriors singly and in groups. He killed 300 of them, scalped them, and ate their livers.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So we're doing a Mel Gibson revenge flick.
Yeah, it's
we're doing revenge porn.
Mm-hmm. It's
and
trying
the
to be
fridged
wife. Oh, she's so just barely in the story.
That's because she's the fridged wife.
Well, there's also more reasons. So yeah, as I said, you might have heard of the movie from the 70s, Jeremiah Johnson, about a trapper who goes up in the mountains and has adventures. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of weird that he ever became a cultural standout because he's based on a real person. And, was just a guy, and not a good one at that.
Right.
As that description might have given you.
Yeah.
So the character in the movie gets the general Hollywood character massaging. Movie Johnson doesn't do anything that isn't justified, and generally plays fair by everyone. So far as I'm concerned, it's very far from being the same story.
Yeah.
But it was definitely inspired by the book. One of the authors, Raymond Thorp, who is, in my opinion, the main author of this piece, was given a credit on the movie as a writer and consultant, according to IMDb. And that's despite the fact that he died 6 years before this movie came out.
Wow, that's some ghost work.
Yeah, so I think what it is, they probably just used Thorp's book as a resource for the movie.
Ghostwriting. Damn it, I said it
That's some ghost work.
Ghost writing. Damn it.
So that's what I'm assuming it is. They just gave him a credit on the movie.
Because they used it so heavily, the
Right.
book, yeah, as inspiration.
Unless it's referring to an unrelated Raymond W. Thorp, which would be kind of odd. But
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything on Raymond Thorp. Because other than this, it doesn't seem like he really did anything that was, like, noteworthy. Or at least that was documented on very much.
Right.
So the character in the book and the character in the movie are worlds apart from each other, in my opinion. The character in the book is a cheap shot racist cannibal. And, in the movie, he's just the everyman. He's played by fucking Robert Redford.
Right.
So, but yeah, for some reason they kept all that out of the movie. I can't think of why.
Couldn't be we want to, hide some of the atrocities.
Yeah. So, as we've talked about before, in the years after World War II, America was having a little bit of a masculine identity crisis because, the poor snowflakes had to work with women now.
And they realized, oh, wow, women could work in factories while we're gone.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's all they don't need men now. That's really hurting my feelings. Westerns were becoming increasingly popular, but this one is kind of a permutation of a slightly different branch off of that same tree. Instead of a John Wayne cowboy, we get a gruff, stoic mountain man. And just like the cowboy myths, most of the story, and just like the cowboy myths, most of the stories are second and third hand bastardizations, tall tales around a fire, or just outright lies. Mm-hmm. To quote the introduction of the book, the present script has evolved through 4 main stages. 1. The oral accounts of Del Gue, who trapped with the liver eater in the 1850s and 60s.
Okay.
2. The recollections of White-Eye Anderson, another mountain man who at 90, in the winter of 40 to 41, relayed many tales. Told him by Del Gue between 1885 and 1900. Mm-hmm. To his interviewer, Raymond W. Thorp, adding to Del Gue's horde exploits that Anderson had heard directly from Johnson and from other mountain men about Johnson. So I feel like that one's a little bit manipulative there.
Yeah.
Because he's not hearing any of these oral accounts from Del Gue. He's hearing random accounts from other people that they allegedly heard from Del Gue. Mm-hmm. So that's point 1. And point 2 is getting kind of mixed in there with it. Because we're getting Del Gue's accounts from White-Eye Anderson.
Yeah.
Also accounts from Johnson through Anderson. So it's just a mess of secondary and tertiary sources.
Right. This is your cousins, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, nephews, neighbor who caught that really big fish. I tell you, it was like the size of a man.
Mm-hmm. And all of these stories from, it would have been 70 years before in some cases.
Okay. Hear me out. He's the new Jesus, because this is how the Bible is written.
Well, we'll go back to that, but that's a really good point, actually. So yeah, just a mess of sources that no one could reasonably account as accurate.
No.
In any way, or trustworthy.
These are tall tales told from... You listened to an old mountain man tell you tales. You then retell them as yourself now, an old mountain man, to someone else who writes them down and took them as fact.
Right. And who may or may not be reporting those biasedly, in my opinion.
Right, because we're adding a third...
A third layer.
And
that's best case scenario.
And he's also writing a book, which means he wants it to be as exciting and nerve-wracking and
yeah, he's going to sensationalize
exotic,
some of these points.
As possible.
To continue the quote, point 3, the researches, correspondence, and interviews collated by Thorp, a non-academic historian of the fabled far western frontier. And finally, 4, the dexterous literary splicing in 1957 of Thorp's data by the talented writer of the West, Robert Bunker. So, non-academic historian. And this is being given to us by Thorp.
Yes, he
so
is
there's a
admitting
degree
himself.
of honesty going on here. But he also hired a fiction writer, Robert Bunker, to kind of zhuzh up some of these tales.
Yeah.
And that kind of vibe's a little weird. That feels a little dishonest.
So that's a really interesting, we're setting the scene and the premise here of, if you are able to retell a man's life from these third-hand accounts, what story are you telling? I'm really interested to see what he actually says, because now it's like, okay, we have no facts. We have third-hand fan fiction.
See, my thought was, you have all of these secondary, tertiary hand accounts. You could kind of take this storytelling in whatever direction you kind of want to.
Exactly.
And I think it's interesting that the story went in this direction, despite having that amount of leeway with it.
Right, because you have so much room. You could go anywhere with this.
Right. So, on top of that, I feel like the one connection Thorp has is a bit manipulative. Anderson, whose connection seems fairly tenuous, but he has met Johnson, allegedly. So Thorp can technically say he has a first-hand account, even though the vast majority of the stories are coming from Delgue.
Who met Johnson?
White-Eye Anderson.
Okay.
Who I think he met him when he was like very young at the latter end of Johnson's career.
Okay.
So I feel like it's being a little manipulative with that. Trying to, give you a kind of the feeling that he's got a better source than what he actually has.
This is like the fact that my dad's first cousin was a NASCAR driver. And that makes me special.
Right. It kind of is. But the author is so strapped for good accounts that he references letters that have been destroyed, like burned. He's referencing letters that you can't check up
read.
on. Right. A statutory declaration, which is functionally just an affidavit, quote, concerning Johnson from 1940, 40 years before Johnson died, or 40 years after Johnson died, rather.
Oh, he died in 1900? Okay.
Interviews with unverifiable people that only he has the transcripts from, and from someone who heard an account directly from Johnson. So it's Johnson tells a story about an already dubious factual event, because, people will just lie to, for their ego, to make them look cooler.
People can even just misremember.
Yeah.
And, if we're counting all of the atrocities between natives and white men in America in the 1800s,
yeah,
that's untold pages of misery.
So, at best, it's a bad game of telephone. Most people involved likely couldn't read or write, so no one is actually writing these events down shortly after they happen or anything like that. So all that leaves is the oral account stretched over minimum 3 people over 50 to 70 years. But don't worry, Thorp doesn't think that's a problem.
Oh, it's his book.
He is the authority on Johnson.
Yeah.
That's kind of my problem with this book, too, is that this is the main authority on John Johnson.
And his sources are so nebulous.
Yeah.
And
because generally, if anyone brings this up in any kind of like historical literature or anything like that, they reference this book. And this book is actually piss for, any kind of accuracy.
Yeah.
But he thinks it not getting recorded in writing at any point protected the purity of the story.
Oh, that's how that works.
It sure is.
Me telling you the size of the fish I caught when I was 5. And
no
pictures, and not writing it down.
Then your
that
kid
makes
telling
it
that story and their kid telling that story. You get...
Makes it more accurate.
Right. Quote, we shall never know the full and exact facts in the saga of John Johnson, but we can be sure that the legend is honest, uncontaminated by hucksters and journalists, and conforming to the classic patterns of heroic tradition. Like other heroes, from Heracles to Tom Hickthrift, Johnson is matchless in physique, endurance, strength, and resolution. You know where I get all my accurate storytelling from? Greek mythology.
And 5-year-olds.
And 5-year-olds. I don't know who the fuck Tom Hickthrift was.
I actually don't either.
I didn't care enough to Google it. But yeah, because newspapers...
This guy thinks Paul Bunyan was real.
Newspapers and no one else in the history of humanity has ever stretched the truth to tell an entertaining story before.
So either lying or the most gullible man to walk this earth.
Mm-hmm. As I said earlier, this book has 2 authors. The best I can tell, Bunker was just hired as a fiction writer by Thorp, while Ray Thorp is supposedly a non-academic historian, which of course doesn't really mean anything. I think anyone qualifies to be a non-academic historian as long as you know that the past happened at some point.
You have to imagine that's him trying to boost his ego. Mm-hmm. But that is such a nothing burger like phrase. Like it means nothing.
Right.
And that's him trying
to say... But
it
sounds good.
Look at me. I'm a non-academic historian.
And there's like a little bit of anti-intellectualism mixed up in there.
Yes.
Like he doesn't believe the media.
He doesn't think writing it down makes it accurate.
Right.
I'm really getting like Alex Jonesian.
It does feel related.
Armchair experts, you know.
Right, but it's in the 50s too, so that's different.
Yeah.
So this story is functionally fiction, but it's being made to look like true documented history.
Right.
But as far as narrative, you can pick whatever direction you like and enhance or throw out parts you don't like.
Like the Bible.
Like the Bible.
I'm in a mood today.
This is the episode to be in a mood about, I think, honestly. But yeah, that's really my crux of this episode. Out of all the historical figures that existed but are barely glorified, Thorp decides that the cannibal scalp hunter needs to be glorified. Made into an American Heracles figure.
Yeah.
And this is like right after World War II. There were no shortage of American heroes at the time. You could have picked out like some soldier that was still alive, but we go back in the past where you can't really verify a lot of shit and you can just make shit up.
Yeah.
And also you're picking like a really weird character. So that's kind of my beef with this.
Interesting.
And as I said, it must also be said that the vast majority of information for this episode is coming from this book. Mm-hmm. So Thorp is being forthcoming with information a lot of the time, but it requires a lot of reading between the lines to get to my interpretation of it. So the information is available, but I don't think it's being presented in a perfectly honest manner. Mm-hmm. All in service to this book's agenda, which is to make a hero out of an unfortunately very real monster in American history. So, when you're making up an icon for men in the 40s and 50s, you want it to be a heroic fellow, right?
Yeah, I mean, a gentleman would be a good start.
Yeah. What's more heroic than an enterprising young man getting into the scalp trade?
Oh boy, we love our scalps. God, I mean, this is like the most dehumanizing, atrocious behavior.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the problem, is that they didn't see the Native American people as human.
I know, and it's just... Okay, we've talked about Lonesome Dove, just you and I as just chatting. And I was allowed to watch the show, or I guess it was a movie. It was like television.
It was a miniseries, yeah.
When I was like 5. And I saw the scene where that woman and those 2 men had been scalped and they're laying there bleeding and they're dead. And...
Very affecting.
Yeah, especially when you're a little 5-year-old kid who... didn't know what was going on, but you see people mutilated. And so I always think of that and it's just horrific. I don't understand how this man could write about this person as a hero who scalped people. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it just requires you to not care about the people that are being victimized.
Oh my God.
It's really easy when you think about it. You just have to not care about a huge group of people. I
guess so, yeah. I mean, if you can make your brain say, yeah, these aren't people, I guess that's how they do it.
Yeah. Johnson began his career by moving to the Rockies to trap beaver and hunt game. Unknown to Johnson, the area that had been advertised on was already trapped out.
Oh.
Luckily for him, he pairs up with another mountain man who teaches him about the human meat market that is the scalp trade. Mm-hmm. Despite being historical, our main character is still going to suffer from perfect boy syndrome.
Oh.
He's cunning and always wary of ambush, as long as you excuse all the times that he gets ambushed. He's stoic and uncommunicative. Am I saying that right? He's stoic and uncommunicative.
Good.
Or, stupid and has a really limited vocabulary, so he doesn't talk a whole lot. Also, he's not racist. Some of his friends are Indians. Disregard that he literally, not figuratively, literally exclusively ate Native American people's livers. Disregard that.
Yeah.
Quote, force and cunning, however, were mere details in his new repute as liver-eating Johnson, one whom the Indians could consider as obsessed, divinely mad. And there's some interesting words.
Those are interesting. Are those how he's described?
Mm-hmm. That's how Thorp is describing him. I don't believe that is how...
No, I know. He's putting those words into the native's mouth, saying they would have described him this way. Mm-hmm. Whereas he sounds like a demon to me.
Yeah.
He sounds like...
demonically possessed.
Yes, he
because
sounds like
he's
a
monster. But he's trying to kind of strike this, sort of neutral Greek hero area is what it feels like he's trying to. At another time in the book, Johnson is compared to Hercules, as I mentioned earlier. So it's pretty clear that, we're trying to not necessarily make a good hero as much as a mythical American figure is what he's trying to do. Sidebar for a minute. I want to mention a funny story about the first time I read this book a few years ago.
Okay.
About the slurs that are used in this book.
Oh, boy.
Because, there are some slurs.
I'll bet. And we don't need to say them.
We don't. Well, the one that's used the most by far is the red N-word slur.
Oh, I didn't know that was a slur.
It's a pretty common one, actually, unfortunately.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's just red N-word.
Right.
And when I first read this, I was trying to explain this to Lily.
Oh, no.
So I said, yeah, they use the term red N-word a lot. But she didn't hear that as the slur. She thought I was saying that, these people are very contemplative and reading N-word. And she was like, that doesn't sound that bad. And I'm like, what? So it took us 5 minutes to clear that up. So that was fun. The first few chapters of the book are mostly setting up Johnson's character. He's a well-built 6-footer who seems engineered to kill Native American people, even as he learns from other mountain men about the trade. During this time, scalps were paid for by the U.S. government, but in this book, it's only brought up that they were being sold to Europeans. Kind of a sin of omission there, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The next interesting tidbit involves his wife and some other mountain men and their wives.
Okay.
At this point, Johnson has made connections with several mountain men and is part of an interwoven system of mountain men, I guess. If one man had a bad year and the others had a good one, they would share their profits and would receive the same if fortunes changed in the future. Just kind of working together. Johnson has also made scalping Native Americans a side hustle at this point.
I'm over here crocheting little mushrooms and he's over here.
Drying
casual
scalps.
Murder.
Yeah. It is unfortunate how casual the murder is in this book. It is simply seen as it's treated with the same amount of gravity as collecting hides.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. One year he pairs up with a man named Hatcher who has 2 Cheyenne women from the Cheyenne tribe.
Right.
It's never said that they were his wives or anything, just that he has them.
So you could kind of safely assume they were slaves.
Yeah.
And possibly sex slaves.
In my mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you would have presumed going into this back in the 50s. I don't know what his intention was that you come into this. Like, slave wives, something like that.
Right.
I don't know what he would have thought, but I'm definitely thinking slave.
Yeah.
And Hatcher gives one of those slaves to Johnson for the winter.
Oh, yeah, that's not a wife then.
Yeah, it's definitely a slave. But he never uses the word, is the thing. They're definitely being treated as slaves, but he never uses the word slave.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they weren't slaves.
Right. Only problem is that the cabin that they're staying in is too small, because Johnson is bunking with this other mountain man.
Okay, in the same cabin.
In the same cabin. So Johnson and Hatcher build a lean-to on the side of the cabin.
To take his woman to?
Just for the women to live in.
Oh, we're gonna sleep in the house and they get to sleep in the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
According to the story, Johnson was building it for himself, but Hatcher insisted it was good enough for engines. Mm-hmm. So the women live in the lean-to, and the two white men live in the cabin for the winter. What a cool American hero.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He deserves his own primetime TV show.
Yeah, he definitely deserves to have to be reinterned somewhere. So that is a good example of how women are treated in this book. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring that up for later.
Right.
But back to Hatcher specifically. Hatcher is probably the most annoying character in the story, as he has an exclamatory catchphrase.
Oh.
And it's really annoying.
Okay.
It is. Anytime he gets excited, like something will happen, he'll just get excited and say, "Great Jehoshaphat, Pocahontas, and John Smith." And he does it like 12,000 times. And that catchphrase is just too long. That catchphrase is too damn long.
And that it sounds so stupid.
It is really stupid. And it is used a lot in this book.
Great Jehoshaphat, Pocahontas, and John Smith. What the fuck?
It's so bizarre. I think he meant that to sound like kind of folksy and charming.
Yeah, that's made up. No man was going around saying that.
It has to be. That has to be Robert Bunker just being like, okay, none of these characters have any personality. I'm going to make him say some really weird shit.
I'm going to watch some Disney cartoons, and then I am going to
Well, it's 1958. Did they have any Disney cartoons?
If you watch like
Snow
Mickey
White.
Mouse.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse was in the 30s.
Was it? Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But you know how like you have Goofy, oh gosh,
Yeah.
the different ones? We're trying to do that, but folksy old-fashioned mountain men.
And it's
what would he
fucking
say?
unwieldy.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, that takes entirely too much time. In my opinion, if you're a mountain man, you're going to be taking as many syllables out and shit as you can because you're lazy and you have to save time. You're not going to say 3 goddamn names in a catchphrase every time you get excited. That's
they don't
crazy.
even flow together.
No.
Jehoshaphat, Pocahontas.
Who the fuck is Jehoshaphat? Is that a biblical person?
Yeah, priest in the Old Testament, maybe?
It's really annoying. Why are they paired up with John Smith and Pocahontas?
No fucking clue.
That's fucking weird.
Pocahontas and John Smith being in the same phrase at least has similarity.
Right. They were living
They were
close
at
to
the
each
same
other.
time in the same place. Jehoshaphat.
Yeah, no reason for that.
I've heard jumping Jehoshaphat.
Sure.
That's a phrase that
Yeah.
I've read in old-timey whatever.
Yeah.
Fine. Pick one. Okay, so we've established he's a bad author too. He's not creative.
Yeah, I don't know who that. I feel like that had to be Robert Bunker because that is too fucking silly to actually be real. Actually, it's too stupid to not be real. I'm not sure where I land on
Who
that.
knows? There are people who are cartoonishly stupid.
That is true. So who knows? That one could be true because it's so stupid. I don't think any kind of writer would make that up because it's too dumb sounding.
I don't know. I don't know.
At one point, Johnson starts getting lonely. So he goes to the friendly Flathead tribe that is nearby
Okay.
and buys himself a wife slave.
Oh boy.
You want to know how much he paid for this wife slave?
1800s money, $50?
Don't think money.
Oh,
Think
pelts.
trade.
Okay, so he would have traded probably pelts because he was doing. Was he doing beaver? No. What would he have been doing?
He does sell beaver pelts and stuff like that to these tribes, but I'll save time because it's so random.
Okay.
He trades a rifle, 2 knives, and some amount of sugar and salt.
Oh, okay. That's trading stuff, yeah.
Yeah, for a woman that is named the Swan.
The Swan.
The Swan.
This poor woman. May she rest in peace, because I'm sure he gave her none.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, their time together is very short. We get a lot more historical massaging to make it seem like the Swan would have been in some way happy with her arrangement with Johnson.
Who got the food? That's the person who's happy, is the one who got the gun and knives and blah, blah, blah.
Her dad.
Yeah.
At least
he's the one who's happy in this situation.
Quote, presumably, since her father put her up for sale outside of her own tribe, she was relieved to be the bride of a mountain man rather than a Botan Frenchie or Botan Frenchie. It's this word. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like boughten like you bought it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like a weird phrase specifically for French people at that time or what it is.
More slurs. It's fine.
I'm sure it's a slur.
The French deserve
Someone
it.
let me know if that's a slur.
They're white. We can do that.
I'll bleep it out after I put the episode out. To continue the quote, the Hudson Bay men were reportedly brutal to their women and too mean to buy supplies of white man's flour. So we're trying to make Johnson look better by saying, oh, these French Hudson Bay men were reportedly very awful and mean. So, most likely she must have been happier with Johnson than those guys.
He only gave her one black eye, not 2.
Yeah.
Her life's better.
Yeah. But, on top of that, we actually don't have any information as to how Johnson treated her. He, at the very least, is okay with, sticking women outside and letting them winter outside functionally.
In a lean-to?
In a lean-to, yeah.
Oh, God. Can you imagine, living in the barn where your horses live? Wait, what part of the country is this?
This is the Rockies, so around Colorado.
Okay, northwest.
Yeah.
Gotcha. For some reason, I was thinking Montana, but yeah.
It slips into Montana in some parts of the story. He travels a lot.
Okay.
So
yeah, brutal winters, way tougher than here.
Yeah. I think around this part of the story, they're spending a lot of time around the Musselshell River, wherever that is.
Okay.
But yeah, even if we go along with this little bit of narrative saying that, oh, she must have been somewhat happy or something like that, the next sentence makes it all too clear what kind of relationship that they have. Quote, to be sure, when they stopped to make a camp on the trail, Johnston sat idle and smoked his pipe, as was his right, allowing the Swan to erect a shelter, gather fuel, build a fire, cook, and break camp.
I mean, that's why you pay for a woman.
That's why you buy a woman.
That's why you buy a woman.
So the story implies Johnson treated her nicely. Around this time, we get this note at the bottom of the page because he's trying to he's making it look like he's got sources. And at the bottom of the page, he puts where a lot of this information is attributed to. Quote, Delgue, as will be seen, knew the Swan and the terrains involved in the following story, but some of what Dell told Wide-Eye may have come from Flatheads, through mountain man acquaintances, and Johnston's reconstruction of his tragedy, plus the account of his own actions, can have been first told by Johnston himself. So, from hearing that, where did this information come from?
His ass.
Why cite the source at all?
No, he pulled it straight out of his ass.
You basically just added a citation at the bottom of the page to say this fucking came from somewhere.
Someone at some point in time said this to someone else.
It could have been Dell. It could have been Wide-Eye. It could have been Johnson. It could have been the Flatheads. It could have been the Mountain Men. So this single note tells me how goddamn sloppy Thorp is with his sources.
Because this is what he's using as proof.
Right.
I see why you were mentioning, what was that attack book I did?
Layers of Attack.
Layers of Attack, where it's retold and nothing was written down at the time it happened, and we're massaging the story to make us look better. In this case, the author is making this other character look better. But just reading it straight up, you're still getting a lot more information than what the author intended.
That's how I feel about it. But you know how I feel about other things?
That was such a good... That was so good.
Oh, God.
Roll in that and just take it like a man.
Fucking purple mattress. Ads. Could not think of a transition. Hello, bad book loving friends. Just updating our socials. We're on Blue Sky now at bugs-bibliowrecks.bsky.social. We have a Substack at Bugs and Books, and the profile name is Bugs at BiblioWrecks. And of course, our website, BiblioWrecks.com. Drop us a message and check out the content that Bugs works on. She's really good at the social stuff. And let's get back to that bad book.
You ready?
I'm trying to remember this.
Your outro was so bad, I can't remember the previous 3 minutes.
And we're back from Purple Mattress Daddy.
We're back from whatever that brain fart was.
I knew I needed to do a pivot, and I couldn't think of one.
I knew it was the time, I would have come up with one.
I knew it was the time, but I didn't know what to do.
All you had to do is signal me, and I could have come up with one.
I did. It was... It's fine. No one buys anything anyway.
Nah.
No one has money anymore. Not since the thing happened.
Who can afford mattresses in this economy? They could barely afford to hit subscribe and share with a friend. That costs attention.
And I have zero of it, as we've established.
Yeah.
So, as we were saying, obviously there's no way to know.
Was he as abusive as the other men of his time,
Right.
or was he slightly better?
There's just simply no information on it.
Right. And why would you expect old mountain men retelling secondhand stories to give you details on whether a man was good to his wife or not?
Right, because number one, their standard, I'm sure, is fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Number two, even if it was abusive, they're not going to talk about it.
And they're not going to care.
Right. Because, number one, it's a woman. Number two, it's a Native American woman.
Yeah.
Women are barely people at this time.
Oh, yeah.
Native American women are certainly not people.
Right.
In any case, he took her back to his cabin, and shortly after allegedly impregnating her, abandoned her for months to trap in a different area.
Of course.
So this part of the story, I simply don't buy, personally, the way it's told.
Okay.
Plus, the timeline presented by Thorp is, like many of his sources, a fucking slop. The way the story tells it, while Johnson was gone, a group of Crow Indians attacked and killed the swan and her unborn child. Upon returning, all that is left of the swan are bones, and amongst those bones, a tiny fetal skull. Upon investigating, he finds an eagle feather, which means Crow Indians were there. Or, an eagle.
Flew by.
But that's all the story says, is that there is an eagle feather, and that means Crow Indians.
Wow. You don't even have proof that it was humans who murdered her at that point.
Right.
It could have been wolves. How would you know?
But regardless of,
he has decided it was these people who did this thing. I must murder the rest of them forever until I die.
Vows an oath of vengeance. At this point in the story, I find it hard not to think of this moment as very written.
Yeah, I'm just getting Mel Gibson's virgin bride going and hiding. She gets murdered in the village. We must do Braveheart
We're
now.
justifying the war path we're about to go on.
Yes. My son has died. I must now kill every redcoat that ever exists on the entire planet.
Yeah. And for him, it's this woman I bought and knew for like a couple of weeks who I impregnated.
And promptly abandoned. It's your fault, man.
Right.
You left her alone.
But I wouldn't doubt it if this was kind of like a whodunit element added by Bunker at this point, and just like an added layer of justification for Johnson being the way he is.
He can't help it. They killed his woman.
Right.
This is a justifiable reaction to look what was done to him. His property was destroyed.
Right. And this is pretty flimsy in my mind. According to the story, Johnson and the Swan would have only been around each other for about 4 weeks. Even if he impregnated her the day that he bought her, and if he was gone for the entire 3 or 4 months of winter and came back to unsnowed ground in Montana, at the most generous, that would be a 5-6 month developed fetus.
I just don't understand how you could find bones in a cabin.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even in a cabin. It was outside. He found her body outside in front of the cabin.
So yeah, there's no way to know that was people who done it.
Right. But when Johnson gets there, the Swan was picked clean. So just clean bones. So she's had to have been dead like a while.
Because something killed her.
Right.
And then something else came and ate the meat off of her bones. You probably had carrion fowl come down and pick on her, and also wolves and other things that would just come and scavenge. I don't even buy you found a complete skeleton and a baby skull.
Sure.
That is so rare to just find an entire skeleton still in one piece like that.
Especially like at 4 months of development, fetal bones
It would have been the size of a thimble.
Yeah, and they're basically cartilage.
Yeah, they're not even hardened bones.
And like at 5 months, they start ossifying, so there's a little bit of room there, but...
Newborn skulls are still soft.
Yeah.
That's why you have to be gentle with the soft spot in their head.
So none of that really like tracks.
No, we're just doing... This is just propaganda.
Yeah, it very much feels made up. So... The claim is these two corpses were stripped of flesh and the incredibly fragile fetal skull was left unscathed enough to be recognizable as that. Hard sell.
Fine.
But fine, we'll let it go. But there's also a separate timeline.
Oh.
Because initially, Thorp reports that Johnson initially bought the Swan in May.
Oh.
Spring in the year before. So there's at least like 6 months that are not being accounted for. But the story also very specifically said he was only around her for a couple of weeks before he left.
Okay.
Yeah, that would kind of make the bodies a little more plausible, maybe. But the story doesn't tell it that way, and if the timeline is longer, then it requires Johnson to have been gone for something more like 8 months.
Yeah, like a whole pregnancy.
Right.
And this is a near-term fetus.
And regardless if you leave your wife that you knew for like a month alone for 4 to 8 months, regardless of which timeline you're going by, a wife that you bought, a wife that you could not speak to except in sign, according to this book.
Oh my god, they didn't even share a language?
No, she couldn't speak English. He speaks a little bit of, different Native American dialects, probably.
Okay.
But the only communication they have is in sign. In this book's words, that is how they communicate, is through sign.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I don't quite buy that this is like a tragic event of your wife that you thoroughly loved, even though you only knew her for 3 or 4 weeks, that you didn't talk to, that you bought and was clearly a slave.
I mean, I could kind of buy it more if it was my fetus.
Sure.
His unborn son. You would always imagine it's a son. You would never be this upset over a daughter.
Right.
If he's imagining my unborn son has been stripped of me, okay, fine.
Sure.
But yeah, we don't have...
Yeah, there's no corroborate. This could have only come from Johnson.
You know what I think is more likely? I think that some random deer bones fell on the path outside the cabin. A deer died, and you had a couple leg bones. And then she just fucking left. She went back to her tribe.
I like to think so. That would make me
She
feel
went
better.
home because she was fucking abandoned while pregnant.
Sure.
It's really hard to take care of yourself when you're pregnant. You kind of need other people. And imagine, she's probably imagining he's not going to be back before the baby's born. She could just die in childbirth and a baby die just laying on the floor.
Right.
She would want to go find other women. Yeah. I would be more inclined to believe she just fucking went home.
Yeah. I'd like to think that's true. That's the best possible scenario out of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, because the other is just so strange and weird sounding. Yeah. Really just...
It sounds written.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I think is far more likely... Johnson or someone else made this part up to give more of a tragic backstory for sympathy.
Yeah.
Whether it was Johnson himself making it up or it was made up in the era of Robert Bunker, either way, I feel like it was made up for sympathy to justify like the monstrous shit that he just does.
Yeah.
But not exactly like tragic hero material, right? And while like it is possible, even though it feels a lot like, and then everyone clapped. It feels a lot like that, but possible. I certainly don't buy it as Johnson's tragedy. I buy this as the Swan's tragedy.
Oh, God, yeah. She's the victim in all of this,
yeah.
No matter what happened. Even if she did leave and go back to her tribe and have a healthy baby, she's still the victim in all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was sex trafficked. She was sold as a slave.
Yeah.
No, don't go back to your tribe. Go somewhere else. Go find a different tribe.
So, on top of all that, the story also ignores potential motive for these alleged Crow warriors. If that did happen, just going along with that narrative.
Right.
We are ignoring that they might have had some motive.
We're accepting the premise here.
Right. If they actually were there, an eagle feather on the ground is pretty flimsy, obviously. Quote, and this is what Johnson says when he finds the eagle feather. Crow, or this child never ate beaver tail. Again, it's written really weird. I don't know if that's a direct quote or they made that one up, but it sounds fucking weird either way.
Can you imagine Johnson retelling his life story, telling this really impressionable kid, and then I leaned over my dead wife's body and I said, Crow.
Or this child never ate beaver tail. Like there's a certain charm. There's a certain charm to writing this way, but for this character, it's fucking stupid. Yeah, even if I believe all of that, except that premise, I certainly don't believe that this is a murder just for the sake of it, as it's portrayed and allegedly perpetrated by a group of young men, as the story later reports.
Right.
According to the story, they had to travel through another tribe's territory to get to where the swan was. And to me, that sounds very targeted. Like they were going somewhere specific.
Yeah. Because that's really risky.
Right. And them just showing up for no reason makes no sense. But them showing up for their own revenge might. Because as we've established at this point, it's known that Johnson has killed other Native American people for their scalps.
Right.
But the story completely ignores that.
Oh.
Because, that makes Johnson the bad guy.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But, these were just some random crows. They had no possible reason for motive or something like that.
Maybe it's revenge on all the wives and children Johnson murdered.
Yeah, and it seems like way more likely that Johnson took the scalp of someone's friend, someone's child, someone's husband, someone's wife, and they traveled to Johnson's cabin specifically, and only finding the swan there, killed her instead.
Right.
Which doesn't make it right, but the issue is a bit more textured if you, look at it from the crow's perspective as people.
Who had motive, not just their deranged animals.
Yeah, they're deranged villains that
Yeah.
must be destroyed.
Right.
And when you strip away the dramatics attributed to Johnson, I think you get a more accurate version of events. I don't think Johnson was a tragic hero claiming vengeance from villains who killed a loved one. I think he's a man who's seeking revenge for his damaged property, as you said earlier.
Mm-hmm. And if he had already been killing crows anyway, and he'd already been killing these other natives anyway, it just adds another reason to justify what he's doing.
Right. And prior to this point, it never says specifically what tribe of Indians he is collecting scalps from.
Right.
And I don't think there's any reason he wouldn't have pulled from the Crow tribe at this point.
Just whoever was in front of him.
Right. So I think that is a much more likely motive for this happening.
Right.
Yeah, just going by, how they treated women in general, just an aspect of property and the tenuous relationship between the two. And I simply don't buy this as a tragic love story as is presented.
Yeah.
Because it's very much like trying to make him into a tragic hero. Poor, misunderstood Johnson, such depression in his life, awful things happened to him, and it's just, ugh. From here, Johnson allegedly swears an oath of vengeance for his dead wife and child, and over time gains a reputation as the Crow Killer and Liver Eater. In response, the Crows sentenced 20 warriors to banishment until they kill Johnson.
Right.
Now, this is another thing that bothers me about the story. The only time we see Johnson take a scalp is after he is attacked.
Oh, and so that makes it justified.
Right. Giving him some plausible deniability. He isn't a murderer. He just defended himself. And, might as well take the scalp while it's there. That's like picking up $50.
Corpse, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course. Later in the book, Johnson talks about how many scalps he's gotten.
Oh.
At the age of about 30. And by his estimation, it's about 500.
Jesus Christ!
And the low estimates over the course of his life are 300. That's the low ball. And I refuse to believe he was attacked by 300 to 500 other adult men.
No, he was having a duel every morning at dawn, and every morning some new warrior came up to him and he beat him fair and square, and every single night he was attacked by someone new.
That's the way the story is presenting it.
This is Popeye just beating up Arabs with, hitting dozens of men with each elbow.
But you can't convince me that a man is morally bankrupt as this. Not even morally bankrupt. Morally bankrupt implies that he had some amount in his account at some point, and I don't think he did.
No, I mean, he doesn't sound human.
No.
He doesn't sound like he had human kindness
Ethics.
Or anything, any morals at all.
So I am certain he did not fight 500 individual men.
Oh, no.
I'm certain if he did take 300 to 500 scalps, I'm almost certain some of those were women and children.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't buy that you get in 500 fights and someone doesn't sneak up on you, catch you by surprise, something like that.
Yeah, the odds of that are just impossible.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
No.
I also haven't said a whole lot about the liver eating aspect.
I'm turned off of beef liver forever now. I used to really like liver and onions.
Yeah, that sucks. I still love chicken livers regardless.
Well, they are kind of, they're definitely different shaped, different looking. And I have to clarify, beef liver.
So one might think in a book called Liver Eating Johnson that there should be a lot more eating of livers.
Yeah?
It seems that the most popular thing about Johnson may have been exaggerated.
Well, that would be nice.
It'd be nice.
That would be a high note to end on.
Yeah. There are claims that he never actually ate liver.
Okay.
And Thorp does say this, that there are claims that he never actually ate the livers.
Okay.
And someone just made it up, and there are claims that he only ate one liver. way late in his career, he ate one man's liver.
Okay.
Is a potential avenue. And in a story generated by hearsay and bias, those claims have equal power, but we don't explore those at all.
Okay. And there's no way to know.
Right.
You can't prove or disprove that hundreds of years later and, no.
Right. In general, it seems like the liver eating was, if it did happen, it was being used as an insult.
Yeah, and to terrorize people.
Right. And Johnson would most often take a bite and throw the rest away.
Yeah, this isn't this is how he feeds himself or
right.
some shit. This is I'm desecrating a corpse by taking their scalp and their liver. Yeah. I'm cutting open their guts and digging around in there to make more insult to injury.
Right. But yeah, as you're saying, it's just a way to show his contempt.
Mm-hmm. You're like cattle to me.
Yeah.
I can take
I'm
taking your hide and your liver.
Yeah, you're just a resource.
Yeah.
And effectively, this is just like the natural conclusion of the system that people were living in at the time. There was a literal human meat market in America.
Yeah. For natives and their scalps and, black people and their bodies.
Yeah. So, just cutting someone open and eating their liver.
You already don't consider them human.
It's really not that much of a stretch anymore.
Right.
That's not the worst thing you've done here.
No.
This is probably the best example. This is meant to, I think, this is the moment I think of when I think of Jeremiah Johnson now. A needlessly cruel, stupid cretin who takes joy in spitting chewed liver in a dying man's face. Mm-hmm. Though you wouldn't know it by the way the story tells it in its folksy little tone. The audiobook narrator for this book, because there is an audiobook, this has been done in the last 20 years, I'm almost sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there are people still,
consuming this content.
Yeah.
Wow.
Myself included, unfortunately.
Right.
And he's just got just this folksy voice. Ooh. And just it makes it sound like more Paul Bunyan-y, charming kind of storytelling. Like
we're doing Mayberry.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe it's going for, I think. For context, this is at the end of a battle. A bunch of Sioux men are dead, except for one who has already been scalped and left alive and is being held.
God.
To be tormented by Crow Indians that at this point Johnson is allied to. This is much later in his career.
Oh, okay.
This may be the only one liver he ate.
Okay.
By some people's reports.
Right.
Quote, leaning now over one of the dead warriors, slowly, expertly, so that all might see his proficiency, he made the necessary incision. Reaching in, he drew out a Sioux liver. The one surviving Sioux watched. Holding the liver on high, Johnson brought it down to his mouth. He bit. Then, grimacing, he spat. He threw the organ in the face of the watching Sioux brave. That there ain't fittin' for a dog to eat, said Johnson.
See, that sounds more believable as a humiliation ritual to this poor dying man.
This I believe, because this is absolutely monstrous behavior I believe would have happened.
Yeah.
But at this point, you're already inducted through several layers of John Johnson's sympathy. Mm-hmm. So at this point, this, I don't know, doesn't seem like all that bad because the Sioux are, just the storytelling, the Sioux are being presented as the bad guys here.
Right.
But yeah, this seems childishly cruel to me. This is like a little kid poking a dying animal with a stick.
Mm-hmm. A sociopathic child.
Right.
Most normal children wouldn't do anything like this.
Well,
this is a sociopathic child.
Yeah. The man was very clearly a cruel, man-hunting slaver. Mm-hmm. Why would this author choose to idolize him in this? This was the 50s. As I said earlier, there were American heroes being mass-produced in World War II. Mm-hmm. Definitely by that standard, for sure.
Right.
Of the day. Why go back and try and make a hero out of this monster? Why run with this specific biased version of the story? For example, while I was researching this book, I came across a few claims on the internet that I personally found very interesting, especially after reading this book. because it's very much trying to present this as like this is an American folk figure.
Right.
The claim that John Liver-Eating Johnson was born in New Jersey.
Oh.
And was originally born John Garrison.
Okay.
And served in the Navy. And while at port, struck a superior officer and deserted the military.
Huh.
Whoa, all of a sudden our American Heracles is a military deserter. Strange that wasn't brought up at all.
I'm sorry, I have to, are you saying Heracles or Hercules?
I've said it 3 different ways.
Yes, you have, and I don't know who you're referring to.
I say Heracles, I say Hercules, I say Hercules, as some people say.
Are you talking about Hercules?
Yes. It's all the same character, but it is said in like 3 different ways, and I like saying it all 3 different ways.
Okay.
I think that's fun.
Okay. Because I know that there are listeners screaming at their phones.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
What is it? I think the original version would have been Heracles.
Okay.
In the Greek, and then in Roman, it would have been a different version of Heracles. I think that one was with a K. I can't remember. But then in the anglicized version, it's Hercules. Mm-hmm. But I like saying all 3. Because I'm an asshole.
Yes, this is a very asshole move in my poor podcast and my poor listeners.
So...
Speaking of name changes, he changed his name, apparently.
Yeah. After he deserted, allegedly, he changed his name to John Johnson instead of John Garrison.
Right.
Interesting that this wasn't brought up at all in this story. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can tell, this claim is as old as any of these other claims.
Oh.
So this claim should have been available to Thorp.
And... it could have been included, and he chose not to.
Yeah, he does include that he served in the Navy and the military a couple of different times. He was also involved in the Civil War.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything that could verify that claim. Because, as I've said, sources are really strapped for stuff in the 1800s.
Yeah.
All the historical signs, because there's a bunch of historical signs in Jersey where he allegedly lived that report to have been... the birthplace of John Liver-Eating Johnson. But all of these are post his death. So, hard to verify. Can't really... Someone might have just made that up.
Right.
Someone in Jersey that is trying to get some kind of tourism or something like that is more than happy to make up some bullshit.
Right, because it's exciting and interesting to have that on a sign in your hometown.
Someone who's got a completely different name that... moved from Jersey to fucking out west. Mm-hmm. So who knows?
Right.
But couldn't verify it, and him being John Garrison, changing his name to John Johnson, could literally just be a lie. And despite all that, it offers the same amount of scholarly rigor as Thorp sources, in that someone else claimed it.
At some point, someone said something and someone else wrote it down.
Right. And boy, I tried so hard. I emailed so many people trying to verify this claim because that would have just been like a really good sticking point. But no, I couldn't find anything that verified it.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, all of his sources are also unverifiable. Mm-hmm. So why write a biography that is so clearly filled with bias? Why is the bias so intent on making him making a cannibal hero?
Yeah.
I think more than anything, this book is not so subtly advocating for a certain kind of masculinity in the 50s. The kind where you get to do whatever you want and treat anyone outside of your group as less than people. Mm-hmm. The kind where it's funny to spit liver in someone's face because you're stronger than them. The kind where it's okay to be part of a genocide.
I am just getting Orson Scott Card flashbacks this entire episode.
And you often get, it's just the way things were back then. Can't blame them for it. But, we can cherry pick their history and try to make them a fucking folk hero. We can do that. We can't blame them for their awful shit, but we can try to make them an icon.
Massage it and make it better.
Yeah. So, for me personally, I think, as a country, we should have to learn about Johnson.
Yeah.
How he was treated normally in towns. How he destroyed human lives and mutilated them as a joke. Mm-hmm. And how he was paid to do it.
Because it's really uncomfortable. Like, it's really disgusting and upsetting.
We should have to learn about him and lament the fact that Johnson is a part of our history.
Right. Not a
but
criminal.
we shouldn't be allowed to forget it.
Yeah. Not remembered as a criminal or as a monster.
Yeah.
But as a hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the rest of the book is pretty one note. Various other folk tales of Johnson eating liver and being a hero or whatever. There are a couple of times the book tries to do an Avengers Assemble moment, but with mountain men. Mm-hmm. And it's just really boring.
Oh, okay.
And a lot more Great Jehoshaphat, Pocahontas, and John Smith, because Hatcher is at fucking all of them. Huh. The rest of the story is just Johnson killing more natives ad nauseum. He becomes a sheriff for a little while before going back to the mountains, and he eventually dies in a veteran's home in L.A. in 1900.
Wow. And that's just really disturbing to imagine that person died 126 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, that's horrifying how recent that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is it even 126 years ago? It was 1900. Yeah, no, yeah.
We are in the year 2026.
We are at 2026. I do tend to forget how long we've gone.
Are you still stuck at, 2015?
I'm still stuck in, 2000.
Oh.
I round down hard.
Where I'm a tax accountant, I have to calculate. I'm in year 2025, because it's tax year 2025.
Right.
But I'm constantly calculating people's ages to see what benefits and stuff they get. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very firmly in 2025.
Johnson is initially buried in L.A., where he died. But his remains were moved to Wyoming in 1974.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. After the movie came out.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because the Jeremiah Johnson, Robert Redford character is the one that people associated with. And they found out he was buried in L.A.
Okay.
Instead of where he operated in fucking Wyoming. Uh-huh. So they were like, oh, this is a super important thing. We should move his remains to where he actually lived, not in L.A.
Oh, okay. I figured it was because of all the people pissing on his grave.
Well, there should be more. And if you live in Wyoming, listener, don't
use it as a public restroom.
Don't go find his grave and piss on it for me, and I'll Venmo you some amount of money. Don't do that.
Don't send us pictures where you're flipping off his grave.
Mm-hmm. That actually would be fun. I'd really like that. So honestly, I don't know which one I like the least now. The book is more honest, but generally seems to think that the awful shit Johnson did was important and good and honorable and all that shit, while the movie cuts out the vast majority of all that awful shit to have a cleaned up version of Johnson and successfully obscure him enough to make a hero out of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one of those is worse, really. Because it's almost like someone took Hitler and tried to make him into a sympathetic figure.
Yeah.
And made a movie out of him.
And it's which is worse, the one that says he was this shitty monster, or this one that said he's not so shitty of a monster? Mm-hmm. Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
How was the writing in general, though? Did it have an editor and the grammar and all that stuff?
I believe it was well edited enough.
Okay, so it was decently written as far as the book goes.
I don't think the quality of the writing is bad or anything like that, because you've got non-academic scholar Raymond Thorp for one. You also have
a professional
Robert
writer.
Bunker, who is a professional writer, going through it and enhancing little scenes and stuff like that, is I believe what he was doing.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So there's a fair number of eyes going on this before it goes out. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Huh.
But I give this book a F jail, go to hell.
Hell, yes.
Yeah.
Please go to hell.
It's
And
morally
stay there.
objectionable, and that's the only reason I need.
Yeah. Wow.
So, that's that.
Does he do anything in the book that's, like, good?
Sure. There's some, like, okay things he did. He allegedly saved a, quote, Piegan princess. And the Piegan, I think, is another tribe.
Okay.
And allegedly they just hung out and were cool.
Oh. Okay.
But who the fuck knows? Because all of this shit is made up.
Yeah.
I believe more the awful shit a little bit because it sounds more likely. It's the part that, sounds less charming. It's the least charming sounding thing in this book about Johnson. Because it tries really hard to make him into a sympathetic hero figure because he's also going around and helping out all these other mountain men and they're saving each other back and forth. They're doing each other favors. They're hanging out and making jokes and stuff like that. He also, another weird note, he also went to, while he was working as a sheriff, there was like a flapper girl show going on, and there's like two kids.
Like burlesque?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
And there's two kids like standing outside trying to get a look through a window by standing on top of a barrel. Uh-huh. So he just like grabs the kids and like takes them into the show and pays for them and no one stops him. I don't know anything about the show that he took them into, so I don't know how sordid it was for them, but that could be a morally objectionable thing, but it's also got like that kind of folksy, let the boys be boys kind of shit.
Yeah.
So...
Interesting.
It presents a lot of stuff in this book as good qualities. I just don't... I just find them dubious at best.
Okay. Huh. I'm gonna have to pick out some nice light reading. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Again, I've picked out...
To Build a Fire. This one. You are just 1800s survival man brained right now.
Right.
And you did Meridian. What was that one?
Oh, Blood Meridian?
Yeah.
See, this is like the real version of Blood Meridian.
Right. The realer, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of coming at a lot of these books because these were books I read and initially, when I was younger, thought they were cool and fine.
Right.
And now going back and reading them again, I'm just like, oh.
You developed a little bit of empathy.
Yeah.
And you grew up and your brain developed. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh.
And realize, oh, this shit is like, it's propaganda. It's like this one, for sure, I think is propaganda. Mm-hmm. And like, it's talking about him doing some really reprehensible shit and it's not treating it with the gravity that it should be.
Right.
So, yeah, that's where I'm coming at. Because, when I was younger, didn't think any of these things were like a problem. A lot of that, it was a long time ago. You can't judge them for that kind of thoughts going on, too. And I just don't believe that anymore.
Right.
So.
Interesting.
That's where I'm coming at with a lot of these things.
No criticism. Mm-hmm. I just think it's kind of funny that you've been on like a binge of these very specific types of characters and men and stories.
Yeah.
For like the last year, it feels like to me, because you've been talking about Blood Meridian for about 2 years now.
Something
and then we
like
finally did it. We've been talking about this one since last summer. Because I remember it was really hot up here and we recorded and then we went downstairs and you were talking about emailing places. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, like you had never done research on any of this stuff before. So that was new.
I've been trying more to add some like rigorous journalism a little bit to some of the stuff that I do. A lot of stuff just doesn't require that level of rigor and work. But, some of them that I would like to tackle do. But, it's just a practice thing and it takes a lot of learning and I just don't have a lot of time to do the learning yet.
Yeah.
But, that's something I'm working on, trying to find some more challenging ones.
It's kind of funny to look at how we've been doing this I guess this summer it'll be 3 years. At the beginning, I'm like analyzing every detail and every character and every scene. And you're like, vibes, man. And then over time, we're like each trying, we both are.
Yeah, you're trying to ease
shifting.
off a little bit and have a little more fun. I'm trying to be a little more rigorous and actually, you know, I don't know.
We're both growing.
Yeah. We're all changing in ways that are growing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Fun in a very sad way.
Yeah.
Our type of fun. Well, thank you, and thank you, listeners. If you have suggestions for us, email us at BiblioWrecks@gmail.com, BiblioWrecks@gmail. I will be on the socials now that my busy season is over, and I will respond if you email us or talk to us on Blue Sky. Thanks for sharing, thanks for subscribing, thanks for listening and being here with us during this
the year of 2026,
where we all get to look at the news and then cry. This is like one of the worst years yet.
Yeah.
I gotta just say, 2020, fucking awful. I had a horrifically bad year that year.
Yeah.
This year, personal life, okay, fine. But the news is like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, just read another bad book and tell you all about it next time.
Yep, pretty much.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, boy.
Ooh. You know how to pick them, I'll tell you that.
I do.